If you want to be in the top 1% of income in the United States, you will need about $787,000 a year. It also depends on what state you live in the United States. If you live in a more expensive area like Connecticut or Massachusetts, you will need to make at least $1 million to be considered in the top 1% of earners. In certain states like West Virginia, you need a little bit less, about $400,000 to be considered a 1% earner in that state. Now, maybe you don't want to be a 1% earner, but it's helpful to know. And being in the top 5%, 10%, 15% isn't so bad either. And I will do a video specifically on that. But today I wanted to share, how do you get in the top 1%? What skills are needed? What do you need to do? What job? What assets do you need to invest in? Maybe what mindset do you need to have? I want to know, how do people get in the 1% so we can get closer and so you can get closer to what you want. And if you're new here, my name's Elizabeth. I'm a licensed teacher outside the Washington, D.C. area. I am going to be a millionaire in my young 30s. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've created a life that I love and have learned to thrive and build a life that is just awesome. And I want the same for you too. If you want to master your money, your mindset, your habits, and your emotions along the way, feel free to click subscribe. That's what I'm all about here. All right, so we learned about having $700,000 to be in the top 1% and average in most states and in the United States as a whole. If you want to be at the top 1% in West Virginia, that is $400,000. Connecticut, Massachusetts, that's about $1 million. If you want to be in the top 0.10%, you're going to need to make $2.7 million a year. I have multiple friends who make millions of dollars a year and who are in the top 0.1% and the top 1%, which is amazing. I've learned a lot from them. Let's go ahead and dive in to see what they do so that you can replicate it in your own life, or at least take some notes. Okay, so a big part of this is income, the wages they're making, and the assets that they have. And so typically the jobs that produce the most 1% earners are doctors, physicians, lawyers, people in finance, and entrepreneurs. Now, just because you are a lawyer, maybe you are in a certain area, that doesn't mean that you're going to make the top 1% salary. I know a lot of doctors who make more money and some who make less. It depends on your specialty, depends on who you are and if you're able to get hired in a certain area. It depends on what location you do decide to work in. Those are factors, but those are typically jobs that bring a higher salary or an income potential. For physicians, if you are an average OBGYN in the Washington, D.C. area, you can make between $300,000 to $400,000. If you are an anesthesiologist, you can make $400,000 to almost $500,000 because of the specialty, right? It is the skill that's required with that job, but it's also the risk. Like with anesthesia, you could kill a person and things could go wrong. So you have to be highly specialized and you have to know exactly what to do in all the scenarios. So you are going to be paid more because it's a highly trained and highly skilled position. In the Washington, D.C. area, this is just from my research. I haven't talked to specific lawyers, but you can make $100,000 to $200,000 or more depending on what you do and who you work for and what type of law you practice. The same thing goes for finance. You can make up between $100,000 to $200,000 and more as you get higher up. And if you have a certain position, you will get paid more. Entrepreneurs have a special place in my heart on this list. You can make $60,000 to $400,000 to millions and millions of dollars. And so just because you have a business, all you have to do to be an entrepreneur is sell a product to someone. And so maybe you're selling lemonade and you do that every week. You're an entrepreneur, but you might not be making $400,000. But the cool thing with entrepreneurship is you have unlimited income potential if you can figure out how to get your products and services out there and to multiple people. So there's unlimited opportunity there. It's not easy, but it is possible. And that's what we're looking for. Okay, so now we know the jobs. What does it take? You can kind of see it's skill. It's the knowledge, it's education. And so if you want to go this path, it's going to take time. A lot of these careers, it takes a lot of schooling and education and being able to invest in yourself up front. Yes, you might be going into debt. And so that is something to consider, and something that I know I have friends who are doctors or who have spouses who are doctors and they are still in debt. But hopefully in time, their income will eventually be able to pay down that debt. And over time, they will have more money and they're in a helping career or in a career where they can serve and help people. So it's a win-win. Again, it's not all about the money. A key point I want to share with you, it is that they got in the right lane. A lot of people will be working at McDonald's or working at Starbucks and wondering why they don't make more money or wishing that they should make minimum wage should be $20, $30, $40. Even though it would be nice to make that income, you have to get in the right vehicle and in the right lane. I talk about this with the Millionaire Fast Lane to become a millionaire faster in under 10 years. It doesn't just magically happen. You have to get in the right lane. If you want to make that $35, $40 an hour, $200, $500 an hour, or unlimited income with entrepreneurship, you have to pick the right field. You have to pick the right thing, the right lane. Even Warren Buffett says he went to Columbia University and there were lots of people in his class that were smarter than him that he believed, but they picked a different vehicle. And so because he picked the investment vehicle, he's able to make more money. Not because he's smarter or anything. He is smart and can make good decisions and has good people around him, but he picked the right vehicle. So pick the right vehicle and you will be on your way to wealth and also happiness. I do have a video on Ikigai and finding your purpose and the one simple formula I used because I do want you to have the money, but I also want you to enjoy your life. Yeah, it's nice to make $500,000, but if you aren't enjoying the day-to-day and you're hating your whole life, it's not worth it. These 1% earners also have good habits. Of course, you can earn money and not exercise or not do these things, but to do a job like this, to be able to perform high and be a high performer and well, you're gonna have good habits. You're gonna eat healthy. You're going to exercise. You're going to study. You're gonna have discipline. And maybe, like I said, there's some people who are more disciplined or are more focused on nutrition and health than others. And sometimes when they're working so hard, they might neglect some of those areas. But I highly believe that a lot of people do have good habits in order to get a high income. And so if you want to change your life, it's not just the vehicle and your skills and your knowledge, it's also your habits. It's also your habits and what you believe is possible for yourself. If you want to get big, you have to become bigger as a person, not necessarily in size, but in what you can handle. And part of being able to handle more is being able to have good habits that help you handle more. And if you look at these jobs, they are very tough. They're tough mentally. They're tough emotionally in many aspects. And it requires a lot from the person. And so you can get whatever income you want, but it starts within. It starts on you as a person. The more you grow on the inside, the more your life will grow on the outside. With 1% earners, they believe, they know it's possible. They decide that they want it. They choose that path. They decide and they build themselves. They believe they're the asset. They don't just expect someone to pay them $400,000 a year or $500,000 a year. They know that if they're going to make it happen, it's them that's going to make it happen. And so they treat themselves like an asset and they invest in their knowledge. They invest in their skills. They invest in their value because they're being paid based on the value that they provide. It's hard, the skills that they have. And so they're going to get paid for it. And so they invest in themselves and they treat themselves like an asset. And they also invest in assets. Most of them do. If you're making that much money, you can live a little bit below your means, invest your money in income producing assets and make your money work for you. If you want to be in the top 1%, it's possible. It's not an accident. You have to decide and you have to take action to create that life. I hope this video was helpful. If you want more videos on mastering your money and your life, feel free to check out these videos or more on my channel. I hope it helps. Cheering for you on your journey. I know you can bring a lot of wealth and happiness to you.